Glenn Allerton, number 14. I'm three-time Australian Superbike champion and I'm here for number 4.
Former champ and BMW's best chance at fighting off the favourites.
Yeah, it was really good to get back out on the track and obviously to be, you know, on the motorbike again and be able to ride it in sort of anger again. It's a pretty awesome thing to be there and do it again, you know. Yeah, look, the Darwin round was a surprise for me because when you got to build a bike so last minute like that, I had my doubts as to whether it would actually work. And, you know, it's got a different linkage. It's got a whole bunch of different things to it. I didn't think that our suspension setting would be anywhere near being right. So I kind of resigned myself to the fact that I was going to race the old bike and just try the new bike to see if it felt any better. But after the first practice session, I did a couple of laps on it and straight away it felt a lot better. It feels completely different. You wouldn't think that a bike that looks so similar can feel so different, but the way that the suspension is and with the wings on it, it seems like the issues that I had with what I call rear contact, how much grip's on the back of the bike, this bike has really solved those issues. It's got a lot more rear contact and the bike feels like it's planted when you're on the brakes hard, and then when you go around the corner, you've got lots of grip. So yeah, it's pretty exciting to turn the bike around from being a street bike onto the track, get out there and actually go better and feel better on the new bike was great. Yeah, so the new bike's got a slightly up-spec'd engine, so it has titanium conrods, and I think the crankshaft might be a little bit different. The cylinder head's different, so it makes more power. It's basically like an up-spec engine, but in the same configuration. So it looks the same from the outside, but it's just an up-spec motor. And then with the triple clamps are slightly different. The front forks are different. It's got bigger brakes on it, and the rear linkage is different in the way that it works. It's more traditional linkage like most of the other bikes have on the grid these days. And they've managed to just move the weight of the engine in the bike further back to try and get some load on the rear tyre. And all these little tiny improvements that they've made to the bike have made a massive step forward in the lap time and how the bike actually performs on the track. So, you know, from being at Winton like 2 days ago, just on the data that me and Shane could see after we finished testing, you know, the top speed of the bike was about 6 kilometres faster now per hour at the end of the straight, and at the end of every short little straight in between, we were going between 4 and 6 k's an hour faster. So the bike accelerates better and it's got better grip. And it's a good thing it's got bigger brakes on it so I can stop. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm in for. I want to get 4 championships. It hasn't been done before. I would deeply love to be the first guy to get my 4th championship. And that's what I'm going there for. Look, anything can happen. We all know that Wayne's strong, that it is motorsport. And I've been in a commanding position in a championship before, back in 2009, where I probably should have won the championship, and we've had small things go wrong, just, you know, like a $5 part in a switch block break and the bike doesn't want to go. And then all of a sudden everything can change very fast. So that's why we're all in it. We're all in it with a chance to win. Like, everybody knows that there's a chance, and it's really looking good for us. Yeah, absolutely. You know, when we won our first championship, it was kind of it was so last minute, it was out of the blue. I'm pretty sure we were still in January when we decided to have a ride on the bike. And then it seemed like nothing we could do was wrong. Everything we did was right. You know, every choice that we made, it rained one in race, and I decided to go out on slicks, and the track dried really quickly. It was one of those seasons that really just it went our way. And BMW have been great to me over the years, and to give them another championship would be great, because it has been a big dry spell worldwide for them. Other than in Germany, where they seem to win all the time, it would be great to get a championship and try and build some momentum towards next year. Because right now, I mean, the reality is I'm going to give it everything I can for the rest of this year, and a fourth championship would be great. But, you know, the momentum towards next year is what's really exciting. And if we can keep that going, you know, if a few other riders move seats and we can hit the ground with some real momentum, then I feel like that's how you put a championship together, with momentum. Yeah, look, it's a long story. I guess it starts like all the way back in 08. I feel like I should have won in 09. I did lead the championship pretty much from the first round all the way to the end of the season, even to the last race. Starting the last race, I was still in the championship lead in 09. And then 2016, you know, I had a DNF that really hurt me at Wakefield Park. That hurt us. And we probably could, if we didn't have that DNF, it would have been a different year. But, yeah, the injuries from 2017 onwards, I just kept getting hurt. I ended up breaking my left arm, and then the next injury, I broke my neck and my collarbone. The injury after that, I broke my wrist and my left fibula. It's just been able to have some time where I wasn't injured. And then the COVID break allowed me to, you know, relax a bit and not try to race while I'm injured, and let my body heal a little bit, and then slowly start training so that I wasn't, you know, hurting myself all the time. But yeah, last year, if it wasn't for the first race where I don't think I scored any points in race one, I fell off in turn two. I come together with another rider at the start of the race, and I ended up in the sand trap, and that was pretty much, didn't score any points. Otherwise, last year I would have been in the top three of the championship as well. So yeah, we have been strong. But in saying that, there's a bit of a gap between where I was and the top two. Wayne and Troy have had like a gap to the rest of us. There's a number of reasons for that. You know, they're both riding really well, but at the same time, they've both got really good motorbikes and really good teams around them. And, you know, that shows because they're consistently at the front. But I feel like, you know, if I can stay healthy and keep chipping away, and I'm on a much better motorbike now with this new M1000RR, that I can get right in there and challenge for the championship again. No, because the challenges and the bar keeps getting moved, gets set higher and higher. The guys go faster, the competitors, you know, the equipment gets harder and faster to ride. I think for me, I feed off the nervous energy that I have. And I've always said to myself that if I'm in the pits and I'm not nervous about getting on the bike, then I'm going to give it up. If it becomes easy and I'm just like, oh, I'm just going through the motions here, I'll stop. But I still get really nervous. And I've managed over the years to harness that nervous energy and use it to push me through the race. And that's something that it hasn't gone away from me yet. And I kind of feel like because I was injured so much over the past 3 years, it's kept me going, because I didn't really get a chance to hit my stride, because just before I got injured, I spent a lot of time training, and I felt like I took my whole body and myself to a new level back in 2017. And then I got injured with the broken arm, and it's been something in the back of my mind that's just bugging me that I need to get back out there and hit and push myself to that level again. And then maybe I'll stop racing, but that's still a couple of years off for me. Yeah. Yeah, like I can remember, I think at Winton, a good lap time was like a 23 or 22 in 08 when we were racing. I think we raced in the 23s. And, I mean, Wayne and Troy were in the 19s when we raced there at the start of the year. So that's just incredible. That's a massive jump forward in the lap time. In my experience, the competition has gotten more refined. Like the people definitely ride without mistakes a lot better. I wouldn't say the competition's tougher. I just feel like there's been an evolution in the machinery, especially in the last 3 years. The machines have they've definitely got more expensive. If you talk to anyone in the paddock that's a privateer, the expensive is huge. And if you want to be competitive, you've got to spend a lot of money to be competitive. That's one downside to where we're at right now. You know, when I was on a superbike, when I first started on a superbike, Jamie Stouffer was amazingly talented. And him on his day on that R1 back in 2005, 2006, you know, good luck trying to beat that guy because he was so good. And before that, Josh Brooks was an amazing competitor. So, you know, we've had really strong competition throughout the years. Our sport in this country has lost momentum in the way that our riders aren't promoted like they used to be. But, you know, there's a number of reasons for that. We've got guys in this country like Wayne Maxwell should have been in World Superbikes. Troy Herfoss should have been in World Superbikes. I feel like I should have had a chance at World Superbikes, which in a way I did in a small way, but not made it all the way. Had we been in, you know, if we were born in England, we probably all would have made it to World Superbikes. But the level is very, very high, and it still is here in this country. I just feel like the level of our equipment right now has jumped really, really high. We're no longer racing super stock bikes. We're basically racing super bikes that, you know, bar the triple clamps and the swing arm, we've got World Superbikes now. Yeah, I think it's great. We need to see more of it. I mean, realistically, I'm 40 and I've been beaten up a lot in my career. There should be like 5 kids that should be banging on that BMW team's door to get my job. And we are seeing them come through, but I think it's a classic case of most of these kids, when they start to do well, they want to go overseas. And I don't blame them for it, because if I could have my time over, I probably would have tried to go overseas at a younger age too. So that's probably why you see, you know, in the superbike category itself, it's always seems like there's an establishment of the older guys at the front, and then the younger guys are trying to make their way in. And it's difficult because those older guys are very experienced at getting the bike set up and getting the most out of it. And most of the young guys, when they start to do well, you know, the Asia Talent Cup, they go and they do those rides there, and then the rides open up overseas. And yeah, I mean, I'm friends with most of the young kids. There's a whole bunch of them that I communicate with on a daily basis. You know, like I talk to Senna Aegis. He's overseas nearly every day. And, you know, we've made plans to train together over the off season when he gets back from Europe. There's lots of young kids like Carter Thompson. He's doing really well. I watch them race, and, you know, I'm excited for what they can do in the future. I hope that we've got, you know, a Casey Stoner in there somewhere to come along and represent Australia and go to MotoGP, because, yeah, we've got some great talented young kids. And, yeah, I always enjoy, you know, seeing those young kids evolve and step up. And even with Ollie, he showed that, you know, it's a steep learning curve to get in a superbike, but with the right people around him and a good piece of equipment underneath him, he was able to win a race at Darwin. So it can be done. And, you know, whenever these young kids are ready to come and take my job, I'm here waiting. You're going to have to beat me, though. You have to take it away from me, because I'm not going to give it to you. Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, Jack's awesome. I'm a big fan of Jack. I love the way that, you know, he's just himself out there. He's entertaining to watch. Watched him last night. You know, he's one of the fastest guys in the wet. He's always, you know, he's just great to watch, and it's been a progression for him, and it's great to see him up the front. And I think we're going to see the same thing out of Remy. I think Remy, he's shown this year that he can be super consistent. He seems to have really become super mature, and he's talented. So it's exciting, and I can only see KTM getting stronger and stronger. So I think that Remy's really going to be a strong prospect for an Australian world champion in the future. Joel reminds me of me when I was young. I was a little redhead kid on a dirt bike, and I just wanted to race bikes. So I'm pumped that Joel's made it into a decent team, and he's got a permanent spot on the grid. He deserves it, because he's a hard worker, and he's just living and breathing motorbikes, and that's what you got to do if you want to make it to that level. So all you other kids out there that are watching and seeing how hard Joel's doing it to make it there, that's what you've got to do, and that's what it takes. I actually dug the wrong one out. That one says second. I thought I grabbed the first place one. I think that's one's from MotoGP 2018 where Troy Bayliss got me right on the finish line, but that's still one of the great achievements of my life, to be able to say that I raced with Troy Bayliss and, we went over the line side by side. That's, because he was one of my childhood heroes. I used to love watching Troy on the World Superbike. So, unfortunately, he got me that day, but I'll take it. I mean, I just enjoy the paddock altogether. I wish we could race more rounds. If there was 12 rounds, it's a community. There's families there, and it's the same as when I was a kid on a dirt bike. It's a community of families that travel to the races together, and we're always helping each other. It can get tough at the front of the superbike class because they're racing for sheep stations there, but I just enjoy the family aspect of it. It's a good sport, and I've tried really hard to get my son involved in it, but he doesn't seem to really be too bothered with it. So it's probably helping my bank account out a lot that he's not interested in racing bikes. But if he ever shows interest and he wants to, I'd love to get him into it because it's something that it just gets inside you and it's part of your life. Yeah, look, it's been tough over the years. I'm away all the time and I'm training all the time. And, the kids come to the races whenever they can. And, it's always been tough having a superbike rider, especially when, in 2013, 2012, I was traveling overseas and doing some overseas races. Always hard on the family. But to be honest, I think they like it without me around here. They seem to say that the house is quieter and there's no big mess around here when I'm here because I'm just like another one of the kids. I just make a mess everywhere I go. No, that's the worst thing. I don't have any of the championship winning bikes that I had because I just didn't have it in the contract. I wish I had it in the contract that I could have the bikes. I do plan on purchasing and mocking up bikes to fit the 08 model Honda and the 11 BMW. I want to make it happen. I do want to make it happen. At the moment, room is scarce. I've got all my garages and are just loaded with bikes and push bikes and jet skis and stuff, but I do want to do it. I mean, back to your question about my favourite bikes, the 08 Honda was a great bike. When it came out, it was awesome. It really suited my riding style. But then I also really enjoyed the BMW in 2011 when I rode it, the power of it. But now my favourite bike is this new M1000RR because it handles so good and it's got more power again. The level of the motorbikes just keeps getting raised and raised and raised. And I'm sure that if I jumped on an 08 Honda, I'd probably go, is this it? Is this all it's got? But because my bike's so fast these days that, the technology's come so far forward with, engine brake mapping, traction control. It's a totally different world to back in 08. Funny story. I mean, pretty good story. When I was in Team Honda in 2008, I was teammates with Wayne Maxwell and Jason O'Halloran, and both really good characters. We had one of the best years I've ever had. And that was the Mallala round at South Australia, and it was the new bike, and I managed to get pole and get 2 wins. And so Wayne and me and Jason are going back to the airport, and there was a few guys from the management of Honda were there. So they invited us into the Qantas lounge, and we're in the Qantas lounge, we're drinking beers and I can just hear this sound just blurring over in my ears really loud. And it's Mr. O'Halloran and Mr. Allerton, your flight is your bags are being pulled off your flight, because we were having so much fun in the Qantas lounge. They were screaming over the PA that they were taking our bags off the plane. So we drop our drinks and run to the plane and then get told off by the lady at the gate. We've been calling you for 10 minutes. The plane's waiting for you. And then we get on the plane and then the whole plane just cheers for us because we were the guys that they were waiting for. But, you know, I was caught up in the emotion of winning the race and getting 2 wins and pole position and we were just having a good time in the lounge and having beers that we totally forgot we had to get on a plane. So that was a good one. We did the same thing in Thailand, but that's another story. Yeah, we made that flight too.